I wish I could say it was just bad luck, that maybe I just kept dating the wrong people. But when the same thing keeps happening over and over again, you start to wonder if the problem might be you. I've been in 5 serious relationships. Every single one ended the same way. Me finding out they cheated. The worst part? It never came as a total shock. Deep down, I always knew something wasn't right, but I ignored it. I made excuses. I told myself I was being insecure, or that maybe I just needed to trust more. The first time it happened, I was 19. I was all in. I gave her everything, my time, my attention, my heart. We had plans. We talked about moving in together. Then one night, I saw a message pop up on her screen while she was in the shower. It wasn't just some random guy. It was someone she swore was just a friend. Turns out they weren't just friends. They had been hooking up for weeks. I froze. I couldn't even breathe. I didn't confront her that night. I just sat there holding my chest, trying to understand what I did wrong. That heartbreak changed me. But instead of getting smarter, I got softer. I tried harder to be what the next girl wanted. I'd over-communicate, make her feel loved, always be available. But each time, I'd get used, taken for granted, and eventually, cheated on again. I started questioning myself. Am I too easy to love and easier to leave? Do I give too much? Do I chase people who just don't respect me? There were moments when I thought I found someone different, someone who made me feel like I finally mattered. But it always ended the same way. Me looking through texts I wasn't supposed to see, or being told the truth in the most painful way, usually when it was already too late to fix anything. People say, once a cheater, always a cheater. But what do they say about the person who keeps getting cheated on? That's the part that haunts me the most, and I kept it all inside. I never told my friends. I never posted about it. I just pretended like everything was fine, because I didn't want to look weak. But at some point, silence becomes a prison. You start to believe you're unlovable, that maybe loyalty is a gift you keep giving to people who don't even know what it means. So I started asking the hard questions. Not about them, but about me. Why do I keep getting cheated on? And that question led me down a road that would change the way I see love, relationships, and most of all, myself. You know what hurts the most? It's not even the cheating. It's the moments I ignored my own instincts just because I wanted to be loved so badly. The second serious relationship I had was with someone I met through a mutual friend. She was beautiful, funny, knew all the right things to say. She had this way of making me feel like I was the only guy in the world that mattered. At first, it was like a dream. We were talking non-stop, sending each other good morning and good night messages, planning future vacations just 3 weeks into dating. It felt fast, but real. Looking back now, I can't believe how many red flags I let slide. She never wanted to post me on social media, said she didn't want to ruin the vibe or deal with people in her business. I respected it. I thought maybe she just wanted something private. Turns out she wasn't private. She was just hiding me. She'd go hours without texting back, especially at night. If I asked about it, she'd say, "You're too clingy," or "Can't I just have a life outside of you?" So I backed off. I started giving her more space, thinking maybe I was doing too much. I was scared to lose her, so I kept shrinking myself. The night I found out, I wasn't even looking for anything. I was at her place, and her phone buzzed. I didn't touch it, but I glanced at the screen. A guy had messaged her. "Last night was amazing. Round 2? My stomach dropped. I didn't say anything right away. I froze. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear my own thoughts. When I showed her the message, she didn't even deny it. She just looked at me and said, "It didn't mean anything." Didn't mean anything? I gave this girl everything. My time, my heart, my trust. And to her, it was just, whatever. I remember walking home that night in the rain, not even in a dramatic movie kind of way. It was just real. Cold, heavy rain soaking my clothes while I tried not to cry in public. I wasn't even angry. I was ashamed for ignoring the signs, ashamed that I gave my heart to someone who didn't care. But the truth is, I kept letting it happen, over and over. Because somewhere deep down, I believed that love required sacrifice. That if I was just a little more patient, a little more giving, they'd choose me. But they never did. Instead, I kept sacrificing my peace for people who couldn't even offer honesty. And every time it happened, I blamed myself. I thought maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I was too soft, too sensitive, too much of something, and not enough of everything else. But I know now, I was just desperate for love. So desperate, I stopped loving myself. After the third time I got cheated on, I stopped dating for a while. I didn't announce it. I didn't post some dramatic quote or go on a social media cleanse. I just quietly disappeared into myself. I started asking the kind of questions most people avoid, questions about me, not them. At first, it felt unfair. Why did I have to fix myself when I was the one who got hurt? Why should I do all the healing while they moved on like nothing happened? But the truth is, the only thing I could control was me. I started journaling. Nothing fancy, just whatever came to mind. And what came out surprised me. I wrote about how I'd been afraid of being alone since I was a kid, how I used to watch my parents fight and secretly promise myself I'd never settle for someone who didn't love me fully. But I was doing the exact opposite. I was settling over and over again, not because I loved too much, but because I loved too little where it mattered, in myself. That's when I learned about something called attachment styles. I didn't know what that even meant at first, but once I started reading into it, I saw myself in every paragraph. I was anxious. I was chasing validation, confusing anxiety for passion, and thinking that if I just tried harder, they'd never leave. But love doesn't work like that. I also realized something powerful. Being cheated on didn't mean I was unworthy. It didn't mean I was weak. It meant I trusted someone who didn't deserve it. That's not a flaw. That's not a failure. That's a sign of heart, of depth, of hope. Still, I had to take responsibility for who I let in and who I kept chasing. There's a saying I came across. We accept the love we think we deserve. And for a long time, I didn't think I deserved much. So I settled for people who gave me half their heart, while I gave them all of mine. But I also learned that it's never too late to raise your standards, to rebuild your boundaries, to stop confusing chaos with connection. I used to believe love was supposed to hurt, that it was supposed to be complicated, that you had to fight for it, prove yourself, sacrifice, struggle. But real love, it's not loud, it's not confusing, it's not conditional. It doesn't make you feel like you're hard to love or too much to handle. I wish someone had told me that earlier. Maybe I wouldn't have stayed in situations that broke me. Maybe I would have walked away sooner. Maybe I would have chosen peace instead of passion. But you live and you learn. And this is what I learned. The right person won't make you question your worth. If you've ever stayed up at night staring at your phone, waiting for a reply that never comes, I've been there. If you've ever had that sinking feeling in your gut that something just isn't right, but you convince yourself you're just being dramatic, I know exactly how that feels. You start overthinking everything. Did I say something wrong? Am I not interesting enough? Am I too much? Or not enough? I've laid in bed with someone I loved while they faced the other way, texting someone else, and I didn't say anything. I just laid there hoping I was wrong, hoping I was being paranoid. But deep down, I knew. My heart knew. It's a strange kind of loneliness, to be lying next to someone and still feel completely alone. And I know that some people might hear this and say, why didn't you just leave? But leaving isn't always easy when your heart is still holding on to hope. You tell yourself, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they'll change. Maybe if you love them enough, they'll realize you're all they need. But that's not how it works. Love doesn't heal someone who doesn't want to be better. And loyalty can't save someone who doesn't value it. I've cried in the shower just so no one would hear me. I've stared at my reflection wondering if I was the problem. I've forgiven things that broke my heart just because I didn't want to lose someone who didn't even fight to keep me. But let me say this as clearly as I can. You are not weak for staying. You are not stupid for believing. You are not broken for being heartbroken. You're human. And being human means you're going to love people who don't always love you back the right way. You're going to mess up. You're going to hurt. And yes, sometimes you're going to break. But the beautiful part? You can also rebuild. You can heal. You can grow. You can learn how to trust again. And most importantly, you can learn how to trust yourself. There's no timeline for healing. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days, you'll want to text them just to feel something. That's okay. Healing isn't linear. It's messy, painful, and confusing, but it's worth it. I used to think I needed closure, that I needed them to say sorry or explain why they hurt me. But the truth is, closure isn't something they give you. It's something you give yourself. The day I stopped waiting for an apology that was never coming, that's the day I started moving on. So if you've ever been cheated on, lied to, used, or left wondering what you did wrong, this story is for you. You're not alone, and you never were. If you're still listening, thank you. That probably means this story felt a little too familiar. And if it did, I hope you hear me loud and clear when I say, you didn't deserve what happened to you. You didn't deserve to be lied to, or used, or replaced. You didn't deserve to love someone who couldn't even respect your loyalty. And you sure didn't deserve to feel like you were the problem. Because you weren't. I spent years thinking I had to earn love, that if I just tried harder, loved deeper, or proved myself enough, they wouldn't leave. But the truth is, someone who's going to cheat will cheat, no matter how kind, loyal, or forgiving you are. That says everything about them, and nothing about your worth. What I've learned, through every heartbreak and every sleepless night, is this. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. I kept tolerating lies. I kept excusing red flags. I kept telling myself, it's not that bad, because I was more afraid of being alone than I was of being disrespected. But I see it now. Silence doesn't protect your peace. Boundaries do. So if you're going through it right now, if you're crying over someone who betrayed you, or blaming yourself for loving too much, let this be your sign. You don't have to keep carrying that pain. You can let it go. You can rebuild your heart stronger and wiser. You can love again. And this time with someone who shows up, stays loyal, and honors your worth without needing to be reminded of it. But before you love someone else again, love yourself first, because once you truly believe in your own value, you'll stop settling for people who don't. Now, if this story hit home, if you've ever been through something like this, I want to hear from you. Drop your experience in the comments. What did you learn? What helped you heal? Let's start a conversation that actually matters. You never know who might read your comment and feel less alone because of it. And if you felt seen by this story, maybe subscribe. Not because I asked, but because this is the kind of real talk you want more of. No filters, no fake endings, just truth. This wasn't just my story. It might be yours too. And trust me, the right kind of love, the kind that doesn't cheat, lie, or hurt you, it still exists, but it starts with you.